Okay, folks, welcome to Feel the Force. Today we have Ben Reeder, who is part of the Artist of the Year award. He's a great painter and an inventor and board game maker. Today's subject is about art and revolution in the New Earth. And Ben is going to have a demonstration of his new board game as well. Ben, thank you so much for coming to the show. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, what would you like to know about the new game?
Fantastic. So essentially, you have a stream of new games, and it's just such a joy to have tactile, real board games away from the digital distractions, on the computer and the iPhone, and to really return to brass tacks of craftsmanship, and actually infusing your inspirations with, the craftsmaker's hand, so to speak. So I wanted to know a bit about your journey, about how we returned to the board game, and why it's important more now, more than ever before.
Well, Jesse, it's interesting you asked me these questions. I mean, for a long while, as you know, I've been a painter, and I've been obsessed with painting all these things, basically to decorate and to make all kinds of things under like oil painting and you name it. But from the last 6 years, I got much more into making these board games. These escalated into 3D printed designs, you name it. But interesting enough, it's come full circle, and it's become more on basically card printed versions of the things. And ultimately, what I believe by that is that it's less a kind of thing where you need to spend loads of money getting it framed and everything and hanging it in galleries, and more a thing that you can play with one's family and friends, thereby interacting on a personal basis with like still the same artwork. And that's been my endeavor recently.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So it's kind of returning to the tribe and more warmth and intimacy of like having real people again beside you through which you can.
Yeah, exactly. And it's obviously right now in our current climate, that's still a bit of an impossibility. And I'm sure everyone's going through that thing, you know. But
Absolutely.
um, I'm hoping soon we'll all be able to actually get together and play together, you know, not on this digital basis, but actually seeing how these things interact and being together effectively is my dream.
That's so beautiful because now there's a big push to, get everything, online and in the digital world. So in a way, this is a sort of revolutionary act in itself, simply returning to the board game. But
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, also there's a lot of beauty in the thing that we can actually interact in this manner these days. Um, Recently, I've been talking to my cousin. We've been thinking of ways in which we can actually turn it into an app and actually still be able to play with each other, like over the web and whatnot. But and that's also a beautiful thing. Um, but I think like ultimately, if we can do, the goal is actually to be together and play these things in person. Um, and that's what I've been striving for basically, because ultimately, the idea of this kind of like more bourgeois thing of like being in the gallery space and saying like, oh, let's have a look at this painting here and there. I'm trying to come away from that thing and saying like, nah, for like a very minimal money, we can get hold of these little games and play them with our family and everything.
fantastic, yes. It's in a way, it's a move towards unification rather than separation.
Exactly. Yeah, that very much is at the crux of the design.
It's so vital in during these times. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, as I said, it's a time of the resurgence of art and revolution. But astrologically, we haven't seen anything like we're living through since the Renaissance. And ironically, it's as though we're undergoing a second Renaissance.
Well, definitely. I think you're very right there. I mean, it's funny. I'd actually go to say it's actually 500 years or maybe a little bit less, actually, that we've had something like this.
Exactly.
Um, One of the inspirations I was thinking is very silly of me to think, but Shakespeare in the last plague was like, okay, he's going to like put himself away. Okay, let's isolate. And he came up with one of the greatest plays. So I thought, well, yeah, great. Let's isolate ourselves, come up with some games and everything. And to be honest with you, that has taken place. I have done all these things. But in reality, what has happened during the end of what we're going through is it's become very hard. And we've realized actually we function on society, on friendship and closeness. That's how we really spread our wings and become much more progressive. So this is naturally a struggle. We can I don't know, we can be hermetic and come up with all these grandiose ideas, but ultimately these all lie in the base note of us having communion.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as you say, there can be a blessing in disguise with self-isolation, a silver lining, and that does breed immense creativity, as we have seen throughout history. But obviously, as you also say, that must be balanced with a certain
Of course.
tribal setting or a fellowship, as you will, of kindred spirits who can actually come together in the physical and
And that is our destination ultimately.
absolutely wonderful. So your focus, because as I said to you folks, Ben is, he's a very accomplished painter and inventor, but your focus point during this period now has been board games. How
Indeed.
how many have you done thus far?
Well, um, there's basically what I've most been working on is the crimps. And this has come up to its 14th edition. And as I said, it's come around absolutely full circle. It's gone through all the trials and tribulations, and it's come down to basically like refining all the gameplay. So like I'm taking away all the complexity that's been built up over the years, taking it back to the bare bones of the thing, where it's become a very tactical game of learning, where you can have all the different strategies at play. Um, it's become more thematic as well, like it's harboring Cornish history, maritime culture in the Bay of the Celtic Sea and the Atlantic. This is for the Crimps 14 gun home. But meanwhile, these have happened in two different steps. So, Sweet Dream Miniatures has been a game brewing for the lockdown as well. So, I've released the two games at once. They both harbor very different styles of play. The Sweet Dreams, for instance, is less about kind of building fleets and setting ships on fire, and more about developing palaces full of like caveats, traps, and everything, but also basically putting these inspired from Persian miniatures, and the players are basically invited to create their citadels, palaces, and effectively go through these chambers with their own characters. And any amount of, I don't know, equations and events are going to happen through that. So it allows the players to really create their own destinies within these two games.
Sounds like, yeah, pretty good. Do you have a demo of these games that you could link to?
Well, with me, I've got the Sweet Dream miniatures. So I don't know if you can see this. This is one of the two sister games.
Yeah,
This is very compact.
that looks like Henri Matisse, inspired by the stars.
Yeah, so I have taken a lot of inspiration from Matisse. I've been researching, obviously, these kind of artists that get that kind of look. The look
Yeah,
is quite simplistic,
yeah.
and if I can show you, it envelops in like a sunflower print. So basically, all the cards are housed in this sunflower mechanism.
Mm.
Um, Inside, I'll take you one pack. Obviously, it's a bit hard here, but you can see there's all the different, okay, some rules here. Let's have a little look where we're
Mm-hmm.
going. So we can see like there's different chambers,
Mm.
all of which like it's hard to demonstrate here and now, but
Sure.
like they're all spread out and basically create a whole citadel where the characters can go free floor up to, yeah.
That sounds like too much fun, Ben. I'm sure with a nice fire and a few brandies, that would
Yeah,
create one.
obviously it's easier to see in like in pictures and everything. It's not so great on the
Yeah,
camera, but you know.
absolutely. So where are you taking this further? Do you know yet?
Well, so at the moment, what I've done is just basically created like a Kickstarter, whereby like at the moment it's live, everyone can get pre-orders, and from there, basically, I have like talked to the Bardic Society, where it'll be housed in the shops in Heartlands, and you name it. So basically, it's in like pre-order stage. We're seeing like who's really interested and taking it from there effectively. Yeah, the goal is to have it housed in galleries and shops and everything. But basically now, um, obviously, like this is not like a possibility.
Yeah.
So it's all available online currently.
Okay, great. So people can order it now.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
great. Well, I'll
Yeah.
put the links below in the description box for people to get. Fantastic, great. And you've taken a break from painting as well, have you?
Well, this is not completely true. So like the painting has been running throughout. So like I'm still painting as much as possible. But as I was touching on previously, um, that's always going to be a agenda for me. But I believe I want to push it more into the arts into a way that is like much more approachable for anyone, really. I mean,
Yeah,
these are going to be like very affordable, you know, and
sure.
you know, like I want it to be like an available art.
Absolutely. And as you said before, it's you've insinuated that it's become a sort of bourgeois elite, quasi-elite, where people get
Well, I
to
think yeah, massively, and I think
creates bigger
generally
separation.
with the arts, you know, and
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to take a step away from that sphere, really, because effectively all it does is transports it to a way that is like more and more distant from the public, effectively. So it becomes more like the arty bourgeois ones who have money to like flaunt it around,
Mm.
rather than something that can actually be genuinely appreciated by anyone. You know, anyone
Yes.
with yeah.
So to make it more universally accessible
Exactly.
and
Yes.
more interactive, perhaps.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's the where it should go.
And in the case of this board game, it's not just a board game; it is a work of art as well because you've
Well,
invested.
yeah. I mean, so primarily you have obviously the arts. So even with the board game, like it still comes from the fact of like watercolor oil painting that come to create such the artwork. But with the two games, and we'll talk about this specifically as we have here, a lot of science goes into this, or especially mathematics, whereby you work with two mechanisms. You work with the fact one can create, the player can create any possible environment within the cards, so they can create any possible citadel to whatever they like. And then coming from like a lineage of chess, effectively, the players are strategically placed in this environment. So it's a strategic game, basically. This is the same with gun-ho crimps as well, but basically you combine two different mechanisms. So thereby you can kind of, I don't know, interact with those two different possibilities of mathematics as well. So it's also a learning game at the same time. There's no luck, there's no dice, so there's all those possibilities within it.
So it keeps the brain engaged.
Indeed.
That's good. That's always very good. But I like the idea that it's it kind of, what you're doing brings people into a more Zen place and immersing oneself in the now, away
exactly
from all the distractions that we're seeing, in the world.
And hopefully, I mean, one could be like devilishly tactical as well, but at the same time, you can really play it very lightly and just basically have a bit of fun with your friends.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that you've been a demonstrable Renaissance man already, with doing multiple things as well. They call it the portfolio career. But all within, the art world, because recently there's been a great push by society to be a specialist, and you're only allowed to have one talent and do one thing.
Indeed.
That's a bit stymied.
This is a fallacy, I believe.
Yes, it is a fallacy, yes. And I think we are going to return to the Renaissance man.
Yes, I also believe this single track idea jeopardizes the sheer potential as well.
Absolutely. If man is born with infinite creative potential, then why stick to just one thing for the sake of appearances or regulations?
Yeah, and I think it's potentially time for that kind of revolution where we can actually combine forces like this.
Absolutely, yeah. So no holds barred, really. Yeah. So yes, I shall direct people to the necessary links of the board game, because to really ignite some inspiration.
Yes, indeed. And hopefully, Jesse, in the future we can actually play in person.
Exactly. So Ben, did you have any more questions or things you wanted to elaborate upon?
No, I think I think that what you said has done it justice. Yeah, and I think this general return to the tactile is going to be very exciting, effectively, and to bring people together again under a different wing, rather than I don't know, just I mean, the possibilities of expression rather than bizarre self-interest.
Certainly. Well, yes, folks, I hope that's been edifying. And Ben, maybe in the near future we'll have you on again for you to show more of your work.
Thank you,
also,
Jesse.
I'll put the link to Ben's website. Do you have? It's the same website as before, yes?
Yes, so the website is the same, and obviously currently I'm just using Kickstarter as a way of seeing the interest for pre-orders and that.
I'm sure, yes, this is something we all need to integrate into our lives very much so. So, moving forward together and coming together as one in the new game. So, yes. Well, folks, thank you for joining. As ever, be free, have fun. May the force be with you. And Ben, I'll speak to you shortly after this. Thank you,
Indeed.
folks.
Thank you. Thank you.